Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandee and Jodi. Hey, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandee. I'm here with my sister, Jodi.
Hello.
So I wanted to tell you something kind of crazy happened this week.
Okay.
I don't know if it's crazy or, I don't know, creepy, but so sometimes in the morning if Aaron needs to, because he puts Joel on the bus in the morning. Mm-hmm. So sometimes if he needs to like go to Home Depot and get something for his job that he's doing that day, he'll get up super early and go, and then he'll get back by the time I leave so he can stay here with Joel and not have to do that later on in the morning. So it was Tuesday, which weird things happen on Tuesday for me for some reason. So it was Tuesday morning and he woke up, really super early, and he got ready to go and he started looking for his keys. Could not find his keys anywhere. He ended up waking me up to, because he was freaking out. He's like, if I don't leave now, I'm not going to be home in time, and Joel's going to be here by himself. Yeah. So he was kind of freaking out, and I was trying to help him look for his keys. We looked absolutely everywhere, and he finally went out to his truck to see if he had left them out there like the night before, and couldn't find them. He said he looked everywhere in his truck, and he was walking back in, and he took the first step, for the stairs to come back inside, and his keys fell on the ground.
Fell from where?
Exactly. He's like, they came out of nowhere. We could not find them. He got brand new clean clothes out. I laid there and watched him get dressed. It was brand new clothes, perfectly clean. So it wasn't in, it wasn't in his pockets.
Did he put a jacket on or something?
No, he didn't have a jacket on. It wasn't cold out, So we were like, where did they come from? You
don't think they were just laying on the step and he hit him with his foot and it made a sound like...
I mean, I guess that could have happened.
But still, where would they have come from if he had all new clothes on?
Yeah, it was weird. I know it was weird. I guess them laying on the ground already and maybe he kicked them.
Yeah.
That might have been it, but...
But you'd think he would have seen him as he was walking down the steps, unless they were
off to the side
all the way to the front of the step where the other step goes up.
Yeah.
And when you're walking that way, they were hidden, maybe?
I don't know, but he was his eyes were all big. He was like, I don't know where they came from. He was like, it was just really weird. And I was like, okay, well, great, goodbye. But I thought that was really weird.
That is weird.
I was like, I'm going to have to tell everybody about on the podcast. But where did they come from? But like I said, that is the most plausible thing that I didn't think about that. If he had just kicked them, they might have still made that sound.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I mean, there's an explanation, but, once again, are we reaching?
Yeah, yeah.
Are we not wanting to believe what we first think is not the problem, but, the issue. And then we're trying to come up with explanations for it.
Maybe. I don't know. It was weird.
That's weird.
But I thought that was funny, so I wanted to tell you about that. And so this is one of those stories that I just read it today, and I'm pretty sure it's recent. So I'm trying not to get too excited about this because I have a tendency to get excited about things and then they turn out to be nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So
I hate that.
I know, but law enforcement officials in Longview, Texas have held a press conference to announce that they believe a vigilante is targeting pedophiles and is on the loose, with reports that 3 local offenders have been found dead over the past week.
Ooh.
So authorities are appealing for any information regarding the murders, which have claimed the lives of 3 men on the Texas Sex Offender Registry for crimes involving offenses against children. We urge whoever is committing these murders to stop immediately and turn themselves in, said one officer. While we understand the community's attitude towards pedophiles, there is no way in a civilized society that we can accept this sort of vigilantism. So the first victim was a 52-year-old man charged with sex offenses against children as young as 5.
He deserved it.
He was found dead earlier this week outside a local fast food outlet. Princess.
I don't feel bad.
No.
Okay.
The murder was initially considered drug-related until a second pedophile was also found dead in similar circumstances later in the week. The latest murder, which prompted authorities to raise concerns of a serial killer operating, was discovered last night on the victim's property. Concerned neighbors called 911, and they found a grim sight inside the residence. Similar wounds were inflicted on the other two victims. This most recent murder involved significant mutilation. The victim's genitals had been removed and placed into a blender. The most recent victim was also listed on the sex offender registry against crimes for crimes against children.
Okay, that's awesome. Except, I really don't find anything bad about it if they are 100% a pedophile.
Absolutely.
For, small children.
Yes.
But my thing is that there's a lot of guys that get labeled as pedophiles when they have sex with their girlfriends that are
17.
under 18.
Yeah.
And then they get mad at them for some reason.
Right.
And then they turn them in.
Absolutely.
That is totally wrong.
Yes. And yeah. And I agree. I agree that, in all of the situations, there are exceptions to every rule. And
so I just hope this person is doing their homework.
Yes,
and
which it kind of sounds like they are because and it doesn't really mention how old the victims are in the other two, but the other one was a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's totally
yeah. They absolutely deserve it.
Yes, they do.
Which I totally agree with you, though. If it's someone that, hey, I just turned 18, let's have sex with my 17-year-old girlfriend, and then, she gets mad, or her parents find out even.
And
get pissed.
Yeah, and so then they're labeled as a pedophile,
right.
Which is, to me, I'm sorry, that's not
right.
That's
totally wrong. Right. And then you got people like on Horrible Bosses where he was just taking a pee in a park after dark and he got caught and they labeled him as a pedophile.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. Not real.
It's just, it's not real. Did I miss something?
Horrible Bosses. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, the movie.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was totally just nowhere close to any of that. So anyway.
So I have another crazy story. Beyonce is being sued and is being labeled a Satan worshiper. Her former drummer, her name is Kimberly Thompson, asked the court for a restraining order against Beyonce. She alleges that Beyonce is practicing extreme witchcraft and magic spells to harass her.
Oh my God.
So, I don't know. I don't want to read this entire thing.
So what did Beyonce do to piss this lady off?
Yeah. So she said that Beyonce is responsible for her exhaustion, unemployment, house theft, and has been taping her calls. And there's no evidence that Beyonce is doing this.
I'm sure Beyonce is not doing this.
And there's no logical explanation. Like, she can't even give them a logical explanation as to why she is, accusing her of this. So I just thought that was really kind of funny.
Were you starting to say that she was a drummer for someone else?
Yeah, sorry. She was the drummer for the first season of Late Night with Seth Meyers.
Okay.
So, and then she had become Beyonce's drummer, and now I don't know what she's doing, trying to get money for nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I think you could come up with something a little bit better than that.
Yeah,
though.
You would think.
Really, you have to prove that someone's practicing witchcraft.
Oh, that's so weird. And so my last story, I think, is totally cute. The drama unfolded in a zoo in Denmark when a gay penguin couple kidnapped a baby while its parents waddled off for a swim. The woman that takes care of the penguins, her name's Sandy, she said that she believed the mom had gone for her daily bath, and when she didn't return in time, the dad appeared to have forgotten all about his parental responsibilities.
Imagine that. Sorry.
And left the baby alone. It was a pair of gay males who had snatched it and stood with it. Like, nothing is happening here. We are just standing here. So she claims that when they saw the chick being neglected by its parents, they decided to intervene and snatch it in hopes of adopting it. Eventually, they did come. The parents did come looking for it, and they decided to give them custody of their bird. So they did. After all of this, they did decide to let the gay penguin couple have an egg from a new mom who was unable to take care of her offspring due to illness. So they got a baby.
That's so cute.
I know. I think it's so funny, though, that they were like, nothing's happening. We're just going to stand here for a minute
and slowly back away.
Oh, well, those were my stories for the week that I found.
Okay. I did creepy things people said after allegedly being abducted by aliens.
I love this. Okay.
So, my first one, I am not sure what happened, but I've always joked that an alien abduction could explain it. I was a young kid, grade school age. It was a hot summer night and I was headed to bed. I remember sitting in bed and having this bad feeling. More than just a feeling. I knew something was coming to get me. Like a horrifying reoccurrence was about to happen again. That my body remembered but my mind did not.
Ooh, like a deja vu?
I don't know. Maybe. Ooh. I knew it was close. Possibly I was within eyesight. I was terrified beyond my wits and had no idea why. But it was going to get me no matter what I did. I hadn't sat down on my bed for more than a few seconds, so it wasn't sleep paralysis. I turned around slowly to scan my room, and it was the next morning, just like that.
What?
I was still dressed and everything, still in mid-turn, except it was the next day. 1 second I was terrified at night, and as I turned around, it was the next morning. I felt well rested, yet only a second, which I was awake for, had passed. I went downstairs, saw my dad. I told people what happened, and they just acted like I told them there was grass in the yard. Like it was the most mundane thing ever.
What?
So I dropped it.
Who would think that is mundane? I would be like, what the fuck? Tell me everything. Oh my God.
Well, they might have thought he was like, or she, I don't know, it didn't say, was telling, a story or,
Maybe. Oh my gosh.
They're like, oh yeah, okay.
That is weird.
I know. That one was my favorite one that I found, actually. All right. There's a video that features an 11-minute long interview with a woman named Elizabeth April, who is a frequent speaker at conferences for alien enthusiasts and UFO believers. In the interview, she tells her alleged abduction story. When she was 18, she went on a 10-day meditation retreat and woke up one night to find a huge white head hovering above her. Several of the beings that had these huge white heads, what she calls tall whites, a species of aliens she claims are about 8.5 feet tall, very skinny, and paper white in color, took her out of her bed and out of her room, she says, at which point they shot her up to their ship. While she was up there, she claims they implanted something in her ear with a metal machine, and after the experience, she says, a whole world of everything new opened up for me. She continues, as invasive as that was, and the fact that they put this implant in my ear, regardless of all that, it still opened me up to the possibilities. It was in my predestined contracts to be abducted at that time, at that age, by that species.
Whoa.
This, she says, is when she learned that she has ET genetics in her, that she's basically an alien-human hybrid. After that, she went on, I started getting very vivid flashbacks into other lifetimes where I lived, not as a tall white, but as other ET species. And I lived through these lifetimes, and after being abducted, I started having this recall, these flashes, these visions of who I really am, not just who I am here and now.
Holy shit, that's what I was looking for when I did my reincarnation stories. I wanted that shit. Where they were like, oh yeah, I've lived before, but I was a fucking alien.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
Well, there you go. There's
one. Yeah. Whatever.
Bit too late. All right. The next one, I can't say for certain that I've ever been abducted or that I even beyond a shadow of a doubt ever had any alien experience whatsoever. However, there's a really weird memory from my childhood, plus one strange occurrence from my adulthood. When I was a little kid, I had episodes where I felt like I was stuck in time while I was watching TV. I had this weird sort of headache feeling when it happened. Maybe it was some sort of seizure thing, I don't know. One night, as a little kid, however, I remember it was late at night, everyone was asleep, and I was awake in my parents' room because I was always scared to sleep by myself. I was in a sort of hazy state of mind and oddly unafraid, so to be honest, I'm not 100% sure I wasn't just dreaming, but I remember that it really did not feel like a dream. I had looked out the window of my parents' bedroom, and a figure was holding onto the windowsill from the outside, floating in the air. It was an alien that was classified as a gray. It was a little humanoid figure that stood about 4 to 5 feet tall. It did not have a giant head like you often see grays depicted as, but instead was much more proportional. I can't remember what its face looked like, but I believe it was sort of like it had no face until it opened its eyes.
Oh, weird.
The figure looked like it was wearing some sort of glowing white shroud all over. It was strange. It looked like there were little holes all over its skin, or whatever. It was almost holographic looking, while its tail end, not legs, floated upward into the air and sort of flapped around in the wind, either like it was a shroud/cloak or like a flame-like thing or something.
Weird.
Maybe that was covering its legs. It was like it was wearing some sort of glowing, holographic cloak thing as it floated in the air. I can't remember what happened after. This figure appeared in my dreams for a few months afterward as sort of a whimsical, wise, yet childlike teacher. It did not speak out loud. In my dreams, it would speak telepathically, not like I heard some sort of distinctive voice in my head that sounded a certain way, but like my mind's own voice was speaking what it was saying. I can't really remember all the details, but it definitely did not seem like some sort of cold, emotionless being. At least in my dreams it didn't. It had a sense of humor. It knew I was fascinated by magic and wore a magician's top hat in one of my dreams.
Huh. It's so crazy how you don't listen to the last podcast on the left, but they do a lot of they cover a lot of alien stories. Like that's their big thing. Like there are species of aliens. I think ones are the grays, which is the small ones with the big head, like we picture. And then I think the tall ones are Pleiadians. I think that's what they're called. Okay. And then I want to say there's another kind, but I don't remember. But
there's something about lizard, some kind of lizard.
Yeah. Maybe those are the Pleiadians. I don't know. I'm gonna have to listen to them again. But it's so crazy how similar almost all alien encounter stories are.
Yeah.
They're all pretty consistent, and that is scary.
Yes, it is. Okay, my next one. In 2016, Vice France spoke to a bunch of people who claimed they had been abducted by aliens and asked them to draw pictures of what they experienced. One guy, Stefan, described something that had happened to him in 2010 when he was on his way home from working the night shift at the hospital that employed him. At about 4 a.m., I drove up to the security gate to go home when a flash of light blinded me, he said. Split second, I found myself in another place. I was on a mountain, and there was a lake at its foot. Suddenly, a huge spaceship appeared in the sky, while an even brighter light began to emanate from the ground. That's all I remember. And then it got even weirder. The next thing I know, I am back behind the wheel of my car, passing the security gate, Stefan told Vice France. When I got out, I was approached by police who said they had been looking for me. It turned out I had been gone for 3 days. I have no idea what happened. He doesn't think he saw any aliens. He did end up with some sort of weird marks on his right hand. There were 3 of them. They made up a triangle. He said they felt like a burn that wouldn't heal, and that ever since his experience, he feels like he's being watched at all times.
Whoa.
That missing time thing is creepier than crap.
It is.
Which, by the way, that reminds me, a new show started this week called...
Oh my God, about the plane?
Yes! Did you watch it?
No.
It is awesome!
I want to. I saw the preview like months ago, and I was like, I am going to watch
Manifest.
that. Okay, I will definitely look into that, because
I watched the first episode last night. It was so good.
Okay, don't tell me. I want to see it.
All right. When I woke up, I was in a pitch black room. At first it was silent, then I heard speaking. A soft and kind-sounding voice spoke. "That's very good," the voice said. "Sit down, stand up, stay in line, no more rules." Those words are still engraved in my mind to this day, but do not haunt me like the words he spoke after. His kind and soft voice turned loud and angry. You can't understand. You just can't. The room was still black, but my eyes were adjusting to the dark. I couldn't move from the table I was laying on, but I was strapped down. I wasn't strapped down by anything. I turned my head to the right and saw a white glowing circle. When I looked to the left, I saw a face. No body, no head, only a face. He spoke one final time. This time, I'm sure that it was directly to me. I am the creator. You are the creation. Don't be afraid. Be aware. He spoke all of this without moving his mouth. The lights came back on and I passed out again. I tried my best to stay awake, but I couldn't. When I woke up, I was laying in an open field. The sun was just coming up.
Oh, was that it?
That's it. When I was young, about 4 or 5, I had my experience. Up until a few years ago, I thought it was a dream because it was a very vague memory, but throughout the years, it keeps getting clearer. Here's what I can remember as of now. I remember me as a child. I'm on this table. It was like a slab in the middle of an all-white room, and the room was extremely bright. I was in an outfit that reminds me of a hospital gown, and I can't move my body or head. I can only look around with my eyes. Suddenly, the door opens. It was like an automatic door. Behind the door, it is all white as well, and suddenly these two people are in the doorway. They were very tall, probably around 7 foot or so, extremely thin, and pure black, so I couldn't make out any features. I've dealt with strange things all my life, scars magically appearing on my body, bruises I wake up with, etc. That was it.
Weird. Do you imagine
That's the first time I've heard of them being black.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're usually like really fair-skinned. And,
yeah.
Huh, interesting. Okay, so I did this week, I did EMT stories or like first responder stories, but that they are convinced that the call that they went on was paranormal.
Okay.
So my first one is, I'm a detective and spent some time as an expert on sex crimes and crimes against children. It was the best/worst assignment I have ever had. One case had came in at midnight. A young woman with a toddler comes into one of the precincts to report her ex-boyfriend raped her during a custody agreement. Long story short, it was legit and one of the most violent and sadistic cases I've ever had, so I'll spare the gruesome details. I still have no idea how this woman made it on her own to a precinct with a toddler. Part of the investigation requires me to talk to the toddler. The victim said the toddler was present for everything. I'm a child forensics interviewer as well. During the interview, the toddler recalls their father becoming angry and hitting the mom. Then the toddler said that the nice woman showed up and she couldn't see past the nice woman. The nice woman held her and told her that they were both going to be safe and sang her a song in a different language. The toddler said the nice woman went over to the front door and knocked on the door. Then the nice woman helped them and their mom to their car before flying away. In the victim's interview, she said that her ex-boyfriend had a knife to her throat and put it to the skin to cut her throat open, but he got distracted for some reason and ran out of the apartment. She had no explanation why. The suspect was caught about 8 hours later, and he confessed to absolutely everything. When I asked him about the knife to her throat, he said this: I swear to God I was going to cut that bitch's throat open. I thought I heard a knock on the door and thought it was the police. Once I saw it was clear, I ran outside. He is now serving a life sentence in prison, and the mom and the toddler are safe and doing well. I'd love to know more about the nice woman.
Oh my gosh, I've got goosebumps.
So do I.
It's her guardian angel.
It is. Oh my gosh. It's a beautiful story. I mean, it's not that, like, how horrible for them to have to go through that. But yeah, they were protected by
That's
something.
Awesome.
I know. Okay, so the next one, I remember my father telling me a story of when he was a police officer in New Hampshire. One night, dispatch gets a call from someone reporting they have seen a little girl wandering around the lake by herself. That night, my father was on duty, and every available officer responded to try and find this little girl. My father was the first to arrive with his partner. As they exit their car, they slowly walk around the lake. As they near the water, my father's partner hits him on the shoulder and points towards the lake, and there stands this little girl. My father said when he turned to see her standing in the water, every hair on the back of his neck stood up once he saw her. It was 2 a.m. and in November, so it was a very cold night. He said that she was in a white nightgown with no shoes, standing in the water. They both look at each other knowing that something wasn't right about the situation. They report to dispatch that they found the girl, and they walk a little closer, and my father kneels down and holds his arms out and calls for the girl to come to him. The little girl turns her attention to my father and slowly starts to walk towards him from out of the water. As this is happening, another unit pulls up to witness this girl walking up to my father.
Just as this little girl was within 8 feet of my father, she disappears, and there's nothing left but tiny little footprints in the dirt.
Oh my gosh.
As they all stand there in disbelief trying to figure out what just happened, one of the police officers turns and said, "How the fuck are we going to explain that?" Could you imagine?
No, is that the whole story?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, I thought maybe she was like leading them to her body or something.
Oh, no. I mean, that was it.
Oh.
I wonder if she is in that lake.
I don't know.
That's
I mean, that's what makes me think.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
that's cool, though, because everyone saw it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's going back to aliens, because you got me on that kick. I have been seriously considering doing the Travis Walton story. Have you ever heard of him? Travis Walton was abducted, and he was I think he's like a lumberjack basically, and he was out in the forest with this crew of people.
Did they make a movie out of it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
That movie creeped me the fuck
And
out.
it's supposed to be true.
Yeah, it creeped me out so bad.
The thing that gets me, and I'm serious, you really should. I love the last podcast on the left. It's like my favorite podcast now. Because they do it very in depth. I mean, they research the shit out of these stories, and the one thing about that story that really, like, oh man, it gives me goosebumps so bad every time I hear it. It's when he was lifted up into that spaceship, it smells like cinnamon. Like, that is a big thing in alien abduction stories, is the really strong smell of cinnamon.
Yeah.
And that got me, because when I do something like out of the ordinary, if something happens to me, smell is very like prominent in it. I notice what the smells are, because like, if I don't know if you've ever, like, you've had a baby before, so you've been in a hospital, and when you come back home, you smell different. You know what I mean? Like, when you're sick, you smell different.
Yeah.
Things happen, and like, that's what got me, is the fact that he mentioned how it smelled, and I was like, whoa. That's something that I would definitely notice.
Yeah.
So it really creeps me out. But yeah, that is my favorite alien abduction story. So I really should watch that movie.
Yeah, you should. I wouldn't watch it by yourself, though. Make Aaron watch it with you.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even remember what it was called.
I don't either. And I think I started, because isn't DB Sweeney in it?
I couldn't tell you. I watched it. I think I was like, I know where I was when I watched it. It was when I think I was 20, in my early 20s.
Oh, so wow. So it's an older movie.
Yeah, it's an older movie.
Huh. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to definitely look into it. But okay, so my next one, not law enforcement, but I'm a paramedic / fire. Late summer night, responding to a call in a rural area. My partner and I are driving down a winding 2-way highway in the middle of nowhere. No light of any kind other than the headlights and the moon. We're coming up on a sharp right turn when I see a man traveling across the grass from an area of brush. He's moving very quickly and smoothly, as if hauling ass on a bicycle. No up and down motion like running. Obviously, I'm pretty confused about a hillbilly on a bike in the middle of the night, but not surprised. He comes to a tree and stops. It's about this time we're driving by him. I look out the window and see a man standing next to this tree. No bike or anything in sight.
Ew.
Just standing there staring at the truck passing by. My hair is standing up. We continue towards the call, and I ask my partner if he has seen that guy. His response is, "Man, I thought I was crazy." That's crazy. Like, that is...
And that's funny, too, because I can picture the movement,
Exactly, yeah.
It's not like, it's not natural looking. If someone's walking or running, it's smooth.
Yeah, it's like they're freaking floating.
Yeah. That's creepy.
Okay. And my last one, my father was a Boston cop, and he told me about a memorable call back in the early 90s. He got a domestic call, I guess it says parentheses, cops hate those, where when he showed up, the man who called was waiting outside covered in blankets and shivering to death on a hot day in the middle of August. Apparently, he angered his woman, and she responded by making a voodoo doll and chained it and padlocked it in a freezer. The man wanted the cops to break the fridge open, but they weren't going to destroy property over this, so they sent him to the hospital. My father said this guy's teeth were chattering and his lips were turning blue when it was sunny and 80 degrees out.
Oh my god.
I know.
Is that like the power of suggestion or
I don't know.
or something else?
If that's the case, then damn girl, you are good.
Yeah.
Because he responded to that. That's insane.
That's nuts.
That was my last one.
All right, it's time for the witty wrap up.
Yay, witty wrap up.
I did. They're tests, like tests that kids take,
Okay.
and it's their answers
Okay.
to these
Okay.
test questions. And some of them are freaking hilarious. Okay, so my first one. The question is, how would you make a marriage work? And the answer is, tell your wife she looks pretty even if she looks like a dump truck.
Oh, shit.
Okay, this one is fill in the solutions, directions. Read each of the problems and come up with a solution from each one. Problem: you fell on the playground and scratched your knee. And then they're supposed to write in the solution. Their solution is get up and deal with it.
I like it. Hell yeah, kid.
Okay, why are there rings on Saturn? Because God liked it, so he put a ring on it. Okay, and the teacher's response was Saturn was not a single lady.
That's cute.
Okay, my next one is, this is the question. Miranda can't see anything when she looks down her microscope. Suggest one reason why not. The answer is she is blind. And the teacher marked an X and said, nice try. Okay, in a word, describe school. And the kid put HELL in all caps and bolded.
Oh, that sucks.
Where was the American Declaration of Independence signed? At the bottom. Okay, this one's a fill in the blank. I earn money at home by, and the answer is, I don't. I am a freeloader.
At least they're honest.
Okay, this one, it's a math problem. And they wrote in their answer, and then the question was, how do you know? And they put, because I'm smart. Okay, here's the question. If I am late for class, I will, and then this fill in the blank. Bust into class and comment on Mr. Thomas's mustache. Mr. Thomas will blush and say thanks.
Wow.
What do you think is the best solution to overpopulation? Support your argument with examples. And the answer was the Hunger Games. Imagine that you lived at the same time as Abraham Lincoln. What would you say to him or ask him? I'd tell him not to go to a play, ever.
Stay away from the theater.
What ended in 1896? 1895.
I've seen that one. That is great.
Name 6 animals which live specifically in the Arctic. 2 polar bears and 4 seals.
Hey, they didn't say different animals. Did they? Say different?
Says name 6 animals. So
Yeah, they're
technically,
right.
I guess, yeah.
That's great.
Okay, this was an extra credit question. The answer to the question was sedimentary rock. And the extra credit was, what is the strongest force on Earth? And they put love.
Oh.
Explain how you found your answer to problem 4, math. This one is, I think my mom should do less of this. And then it has a picture of a mom drinking wine.
She got told on.
Okay, this one is a fill in the blank, and they can either fill it in with fit or hit. The man blanked the dog. So they made up their own word and they put pet.
Aww.
And then they put, you should not hit dogs.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that.
Okay. Here's the question. What is love? The answer, baby, don't hurt me no more. How'd you do that one? Okay. What do we call the science of classifying living things? Racism. Okay. So this is a color question. What is your favorite hue? And they put Jackman. And the teacher put clever.
That's my favorite hue.
That's mine too. Okay. Can a man still reproduce with only one testicle? No. Girls don't find that shit attractive. The teacher mixed it out and said, nice try. What do you like most about your teacher? And they put boobs.
Oh my God!
What is the highest frequency noise that a human can register? And they put Mariah Carey. With little hearts next to it. Okay, it says, which color does the data show was pulled less often? And they put green. It says, explain how you know that your answer is correct. My brain is always right.
Oh my.
That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I did want to throw out there that we are looking to change our logo for our podcast, and we need people who can draw.
We need artists.
Because we can't do it.
No.
And we don't really know anybody that can do it. So if you guys know someone, or if you are an artist and you are wanting to help us out, get on our Facebook page, and you can PM, personal message us.
Yeah.
And I posted on the group. So, yeah, just look us up on Facebook and get in touch with us if you guys know anyone who can draw, or if you can draw and you are willing to draw us a new logo. We're looking for that. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that really quick. And thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye.